So, when you use a GPS to find the fastest way to get somewhere? Well, that's basically a computer solving what we call the shortest path problem. But what if some of those roads actually paid you to drive on them? All of a sudden, the whole problem gets a whole lot weirder, right? And for that, you need a much more powerful tool. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on that exact tool, the amazing Bellman-Ford algorithm.
All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with the basics, the whole shortest path quest. Then we'll throw our wrench in the works with something called the negative weight problem. From there, we'll introduce our hero of the day, Bellman Ford, watch it do its thing step by step, and then wrap up by figuring out exactly where this algorithm fits into the big picture. Okay, so first things first, let's get the language down. In computer science, we don't really see a map. We see a graph. Every location, like a city or an intersection, is just a node. And the roads connecting them, those are called edges. Simple enough, right? Now, every edge has a weight, which is just a number representing the cost. How much time it takes or how many miles it is. This right here, this is the fundamental question. Let's say we start at node B. How do we find the absolute shortest path from B to every other single node on this graph? Now, for a little map like this, you could probably just eyeball it, right? But imagine trying to do this for the entire internet with billions of nodes. Yeah, no way. You're going to need an algorithm for that. All right, and this is where our story really takes a sharp turn. See, most of the common shortest path algorithms, you've probably heard of Dijkstra's algorithm, they all work on one simple assumption. All the costs, all those edge weights are positive. I mean, it makes sense, right? You can't drive down a road and get 10 minutes of your life back.
But what if? What if some paths weren't costs at all? What if they were rewards? Think about it. Maybe it's a financial network, and one transaction actually makes you money. Or maybe it's a game, and taking a certain path gives you a huge power-up. Suddenly, you're in the world of negative weights. And trust me, that completely breaks all the simple rules. And that brings us to the main villain of this story, the negative weight cycle. Just imagine finding a loop in the graph where if you add up all the weights, the total is negative. You've basically found an infinite money glitch. You could just go round and round that loop forever, making your path cost smaller and smaller and smaller, all the way to negative infinity. At that point, the whole idea of a shortest path just breaks. It's a total paradox.
So how do you deal with a paradox like that? Well, this is exactly the kind of mess that the Bellman-Ford algorithm was built for. It's like the superhero designed for this one really tough challenge. It's slower, yeah, but it's way more careful and methodical.
And here's the really brilliant thing about it. Bellman-Ford has two jobs. Job 1, find the shortest path, even if there are negative weights. But job 2 is just as important. It's also a detective. It will either give you the right answer, or it'll throw up a red flag and say, whoa, hold on. There's no solution here, because I found one of those impossible negative weight cycles. That's what makes it so robust. So how does this thing actually work? Well, it's pretty systematic. First, you initialize. You just say your start node is a distance of 0, and every other node is like infinitely far away. Next up is the main event. It relaxes the edges. Now that sounds complicated, but it's not. It just means it goes through every single edge in the entire graph and asks, hey, does this path give me a shorter way to get to that node? And it does this over and over. But here's the real magic trick. After it thinks it's done, it does one last pass. If any path still gets shorter on that final pass, the algorithm knows it's caught a negative cycle.
Okay, enough theory. That's all well and good, but let's actually see this thing in action. We're going to trace the whole process on our graph, and we'll start from node B.
All right, step 1, initialization. We're starting at B, so the distance to B is, well, 0, we're already there. Everywhere else, we have no idea how to get there yet, so we mark them all as infinitely far away. This is our clean slate. Okay, so after the algorithm checks every single edge just one time, that's the end of pass 1. We're already seeing progress. Look at that. It found a path from our start point B to node C with a cost of 2. And even cooler, it found a path to E with that negative weight, so E's distance is now -1. The others are still infinity, but we've made our first connections. Now this is where it starts getting really cool. As we begin this second pass, the algorithm uses what it just learned. It knows it can get to node E for a cost of -1. And from E, there's a path to A that costs 2. So what's the total cost to get from our starting point B all the way to A? It's just -1 plus 2, which is 1. And just like that, boom, node A is on the map.
And the algorithm just keeps on grinding. It just keeps chipping away at those infinite distances. With each pass, it finds newer, better routes. You can see here, it eventually finds a path to node D with a total cost of -2. This is the whole idea behind Bellman Ford. It's just this relentless, systematic process of improving its answers, checking and rechecking everything.
And then finally, after enough passes, something happens. The numbers stop changing. The whole system stabilizes. The distances you see now, these are it. These are the certified, guaranteed shortest paths from our starting node B. The algorithm has done its job.
So, we've seen how it works. But the next big question is, why? Where does Bellman Ford fit into the grand scheme of things? When would you pull this specific tool out of the toolbox?
Well, the classic showdown is always Bellman Ford versus Dijkstra's, and if you look here, it's pretty clear Dijkstra's is almost always faster. It's the speed demon. But it has a huge Achilles heel. It completely falls apart if you show it a single negative weight. Bellman Ford, on the other hand, is the slow and steady workhorse. It's slower, for sure, but it can handle the tricky stuff. It really boils down to a classic trade-off. Do you want speed, or do you want power and safety?
So, why does any of this matter outside of a computer science class? Oh, it matters a lot. This algorithm is actually a core piece of how the internet works. It's used in routing protocols, and its special ability to spot those negative cycles, that's used in high-frequency trading to spot what's called arbitrage opportunities, which is just a fancy term for those risk-free money loops we talked about. But really, the biggest takeaway is that it perfectly demonstrates one of the most important ideas in all of programming. You have to understand the trade-offs to pick the right tool for the job. So I'll leave you with a little something to chew on. We've hit on maps and finance, but this core idea of finding the shortest path with rewards, that's a really powerful concept. So where else could you use it? In biology? Game design? Social networks? Where else might you need to find the optimal path when some of the steps along the way actually give you something back? It's pretty fun to think about.